Hey friends, welcome back to Brick by Brick. I'm Roxann Klepper, and today's episode is going to feel a little different, maybe even a little emotional, because we're talking about downsizing. Not the HGTV kind with sparkly new condos and perfect baskets, the real kind, where you walk through your home and realize it's time. It's time to let go of the house where your kids grew up, the walls that held the chaos, the Christmas mornings, the late night pacing with babies, and that one spot where your dog still scratches. But here's the truth. Downsizing isn't just about moving. It's about releasing the physical space and the emotional weight that comes with it. And you're not doing it alone. I've brought in an amazing professional organizer today who's going to walk us through the process of letting go, not just of your stuff, which is important, but of guilt, the obligation, and the overwhelm of taking on that project. She's got tips that are going to make you feel empowered, not just buried in boxes. So if your home is starting to feel too much, too big, and you're wondering how you'll ever leave it, this one's for you. Let's talk about what no one really says out loud. Downsizing is emotional. You're not just giving up square footage. You're giving up chapters of your life and your family's life. I've sat with lots of women who've said, I know it's time, but I just can't stop crying. And that's okay. You're not crazy. You're not being dramatic. You're grieving a space that's held your story, and that's valid. And yet, there's hope on the other side, a lighter lifestyle, less maintenance, a new chapter. But before we can get there, we've got stuff to talk about, the emotional kind and the physical kind. Let's dive right in. Let's welcome our special guest today, Deneen, who runs Simplified Living with Deneen, and she is our organization guru who is going to walk us through a ton of things today, from organization for your physical stuff to help with the emotional stuff when you're downsizing and letting go of 30 years worth of stuff. So thanks, Deneen, for being here with us.
Thank you, Roxann. I was so excited when you reached out. We've connected a little bit through Instagram, and I'm just so glad that we made this date together.
Me too. I'm looking forward to this chat.
Thank you.
So why don't you start us off? Tell us a little bit about how you got into helping people organizing their homes, how long you've been doing it for, and sort of what makes you so passionate about it.
Sure, easy enough. I was actually looking to get back into the workforce. I owned a home decor store. So home decor organizing has always been a big passion of mine. I was lucky enough to own a home decor store in our small local town. And then I moved on from that, and I actually didn't work for a number of years as my husband worked away, so I went to go spend time with him. And when I was ready to get back into the workforce, it was May of 21, and my daughters both said, Mom, you need to do something you love at this age and stage of your life. And we literally made a post on Facebook, Instagram, and I actually used a girlfriend's home to get a little bit of content to share some before and afters. And that's how it began. And because my daughters have been such big supporters, sharing my before and afters and just chatting about it's when you're passionate about something, it's easy to share, right? And that's kind of how things got going. So, but word of mouth, I love that now as time has gone on, that some of my bookings are from some of my clients. So it is word of mouth. Social media is an awesome platform as well. And I enjoy sharing it. And most of my clients are quite happy that I am sharing their before and afters because they love seeing it as well. So
For sure.
yeah, so I'm plugging away, as I say, and I think it's a service that I really just love helping people. And sometimes I do go above and beyond really what, a home organizer may do, but that's my preference. So, and if it's way over or above and beyond, then, I can say no if I have to, but.
For sure. And so tell me about the services when you go into someone's home. Is there parts of the home you don't organize? Is there anything that's off limits? What does that look like?
So number one, I have to meet because I live out in the country, and my service area is about an hour from my home, northwest of Rimby. So we simply meet on a FaceTime. I need to meet the person face to face, and that way they can also show me their space. If they've reached out, they usually know what they're needing help with. But a lot of times people just aren't sure where to start. And maybe that also gets into more of our downsizing segment of where I explain. And I'm a big firm believer in the KonMari system, and which is organizing by category, the Marie Kondo. And I may not ask everyone if something brings them joy, but I really, truly believe in her system. And that also then that comes into because as we go by categories, sentimental is last. So it's the last of the category, and there is, once you've gotten to that category, because it's about the fifth category, you've worked your way through, you're in the mindset of letting things go. And yeah, so I am a firm believer in it.
Okay. And so if you were to go into someone's home, do you organize, so sorry, the category thing, is it still by room and category or is it whole house and category?
Category four, so clothes is number one. So when I do hear about someone, even regarding elderly people or downsizing, they know they're moving, I still like to start with clothes. So category one is clothes, but it is literally all the clothes in the home. So there'll be basement closets, main floor closets. So it's just clothes because it's so easy to get distracted at that pile of stuff sitting there, say even in their bedroom closet. But I try to narrow people back to, no, we're just looking at clothes today or first, and then moving on to books, papers, miscellaneous. Miscellaneous can be a big one. That would be where you get into the kitchen.
Okay.
And then then sentimentals is last. So
Oh. And that sort of makes sense.
it does. I really feel it works. Now, that may not always be where people know they think their clothes are good. Well, then we jump to books. Nope, that's good too. Papers can be very time consuming, but a lot of people need help with that. And then we make our way to the kitchen and such and go from there.
Okay. Interesting. And so in today's topic, we want to talk about downsizing. So someone is, raised their babies in their home, living in this big house that they never use anymore. Um, Tell us about what your process would be there. So you meet them when the Zoom call, they want to downsize. How long might that take? Obviously, it would depend on how much stuff they have and how big and but what would your services look like?
Yes, it can be huge. I have had a couple of very, very big downsizing projects. And unfortunately, it's where one of the, in my case, where one of the spouses that passed away. But so number one, when it comes to downsizing, obviously I love getting to know the people a little bit, and absolutely everything that we go through, I do go through it with the client. So if you've got a storage room full of boxes, every single one of those, because a lot of people do have mobility issues, as you know, in my case they did, and every single box was taken to the kitchen table and opened up and gone through. And so not knowing if they know specifically that, yes, my daughter would like that, yes, my son would like that, then we start to make those boxes and label those boxes for their children. They've kept it for their children. The children may not want that, but we still combine it, we get it together, and I tell them then that is up to the adult children's choice, whether they keep those items or not, and whatever they do with it after also is for them to do with.
Right.
Also, back to going through stuff, I am not one, I'm a really big repurpose, rehome. Again, when someone knows they're having to downsize, they usually know the size or space that they're moving into. And I question them. Is this something that you love enough to make space for in your new home? And and realistically, they come to the realization that no, I don't have the room for that. So we've got our donation box. We maybe have a discard bag, and again, the boxes that are labeled for the kids or for a niece or a nephew that we've come across in storage. And then we just make sure that those family members we follow up with them that they're actually coming to get their box. And I've never had a family member say, no, I don't want that. They've taken it, and they can go down memory lane. And it really is like going down memory lane when you have lived in a home for 60 years. And there are items that go back that way or back that far. But
Right.
yeah, so it's just a matter of the realization of the space they're moving into, and yeah, it's I think once they realize that, and then when the keep pile maybe gets a little bit too big, then sometimes that means taking a second look.
Right. And so, how hard is it to work through those sentimental items
Do you know
with
it's
those
not
people?
it's not as hard as it is time consuming. So we literally, and I'm there. I feel like because I am getting paid for this service, it's more me that I think, oh, let's get through this. But it is, if they have a story about something, I do not mind listening. I really don't. I absolutely, if I could just choose my clients, I would choose my elderly clients. And not everyone is elderly that's downsizing. I feel like that could be my age for that matter. But yeah, it's just having some people, it's easier to let things go than others. But if they're needing to reminisce and look at it, sometimes just talking about it, it actually allows them to, do you know what? I'm ready to pass that on. Or I sometimes recommend taking pictures, and even taking a picture of an item that there's no way they'll have space for, but taking a picture and making a sentimental album on their phone or such.
That's a good idea too. And I'm sure most of these people probably feel so much better after they've gone through it all and kind of let go of stuff that they probably haven't looked at in a decade.
They haven't. Most are shocked at what really are in their drawers and cupboards and boxes. So it can be, but yeah, it can be a little bit emotional for sure, especially if a spouse has passed away. But then there's also lots of laughs. There's lots of laughs, and they couldn't believe they actually kept that after all those years. And they know their daughters or sons wouldn't want that. So yeah, that can get moved on. And volunteering at a nonprofit, I am very aware of what people do like. So it's usually to the donation box. Very little
Yeah.
really goes to a discard or goes to the trash. It really does. Or if someone is an animal lover and the blankets are getting ripped or holey, I can tell them we can take it to an animal rescue. There's so many options, right?
That's so nice. Yeah. I obviously follow you on Instagram, and I remember a post a while ago where you were talking about your old china sets. And I loved what you said. You said, don't just, if your kids don't want it and you don't want to just get rid of it, use it. And none of us ever do that. I have tons of china sitting in a cabinet that I wash once a year, but what a fabulous idea that probably none of us would ever do.
I do. I mean it. Just get it out, use it. But to wrap it up in a box in your storage room, that is just an absolute no-no. So if you're not sure what to do with it, at least bring it into your kitchen. Make space for it in your kitchen. But for my sister-in-law she made candles out of the teacups for when my mother-in-law passed away, and then brought them to the memorial for all the grandkids and kids. So there's so many options. Crystal, wow, there's a lot of crystal. But set the beautiful crystal bowl on your counter and put your Keurig pods in it. Or into your bathroom and use it for your Q-tips and cotton balls. And yeah, I do try and
That's a fabulous idea.
yeah, just those are lots of those wedding gifts are literally 40, 50 years old. And there are options. Yeah, there's ideas to use them in your home decor for sure.
I love the repurposing of them.
Yes, yes.
And you have lots of moving tips on your website as well, which I love. Because everyone just, I think when you're moving, right, you're just like, okay, I'm going to dump everything in boxes. And you had some fabulous tips on your website about moving as well, which is also tied into your downsizing once you've gone through it all.
Definitely. Number one regarding moving, again, knowing the space that you're moving into. So number one is space and keeping that in mind, but also, be very clear on labeling. And, when you are having someone else help you load boxes, then being very clear on labeling the outside of the boxes is important. And what else regarding moving did I say on there, Roxanne?
Oh, let me hold on. I'm just gonna find it.
Yeah, it's really just
I was just letting go of it.
is a big matter of, do you really want to move this into your new space?
There was a couple things about smaller items
Right.
and labeling valuables differently and moving them in a vehicle instead of putting them into a trailer, which I loved,
Yeah, and
right?
plants as well, and jewelry, and yeah, keep that. If you have a moving van coming, then definitely keep your live plants and your jewelry and that.
Yeah.
And if are real sentimentals and you're moving them, I would move them personally or have a family member help in a vehicle. Yeah.
Yeah. I love this one too, because it very much ties into our downsizing conversation. It says, be honest about what you actually need. Ask yourself if you have used this item in the last year.
Very good reminder. Thank you. Yes. Yes. It kind of goes back.
I love that.
And if, even though you haven't used it in a year, the odds are then you really don't love it. It's really not. So maybe you do love it, but you bought it for a one purpose and it's just not serving you now. So there's just really no purpose in keeping it. And it is people really come around and think that. I think it's just those few questions of, is this really going to fit into your space? Is it really something you want to move into your new home? And it's usually no. So
No.
just asking and answering those questions makes the decisions a little bit easier.
I'm curious, of all the homes that you've gone into, in your opinion, in other people's homes, what is the most unorganized room in people's lives?
A lot of my homes I go into are absolutely immaculate. So they really are. It is probably just going down into their storage room. So,
Okay.
and I really have a hard time with storage rooms. So, in my opinion, storage rooms are for seasonal decor. Maybe I do store my winter items and swap out. So I will have bins with winter stored for the summer and vice versa. But majority of homes I go into, besides their storage room, garages seem to be a problem. And again, because they're kind of collecting storage items, things that they really aren't using, but don't want to get rid of. And, just opening up closets and sometimes things fall out. So
Right.
it really is a lot of times is stuff behind the closed doors or closed
Yep.
cupboards.
Yeah. It's those junk collection areas.
And
Yeah.
we've gotten to where we have so many appliances and a new one comes out and now they're making them so that they are 4-in-1. So I have to remind clients, hey, you've got you've got an air fryer here, but your Ninja also does that. So, and they're like, oh yeah, it does. So
Yeah.
that helps a little bit to make them realize that, hey, yeah, there's no need to keep both of those.
No. And I do love your comment about the storage because I find when I move someone from a big home into a smaller home, especially newer homes, they have zero storage. There's no dedicated storage room. They don't have big closets. So there's nowhere to put all of that stuff that you brought from the other home. So it's very much deciding what can go in there and what you got space for.
Exactly. And the worst thing I think someone can do in a storage room is to continue adding shelving.
Oh,
Yeah, I have another shelf coming. No, that's not the answer. No, you've got two really awesome storage shelves here. Let's make a goal. I'll even, I'll make it a challenge for people. I do challenge you to have one shelf for Christmas, one shelf for Easter, one shelf for fall decor. I love home decor. I swap out my whole home. So I get it, but I also you need to pick and choose, and no, that's not the answer of adding an extra shelf or two or three. It's not.
I've done it a dozen times in my house. I'm like, oh, I just need more storage. What I need is less stuff,
Yes,
Right.
right?
exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Less stuff. It just makes life so much easier. And I think during the downsizing process, as they see things going out the door, and I would hope and I have heard that people are feeling lighter as there is less stuff around them. And
I'm sure.
I'm sure.
I think, with older people, it is keepsakes, it is knickknacks, it is things their kids made them, and again, that's where you just designate and hope and get it out the door by every different designation from to your
Yeah.
kids to donate to that sort of thing. Yeah.
And so I have a question. Do you think when you're in people's homes that it's way easier for them to let go of these emotional things, even coats? My husband has coats from 30 years ago that he's like, "Oh, I won this or I whatever." Do you think it's easier for people to let go of those things when you're there, helping them work through it, as opposed to if they were just on their own? My husband would never throw that stuff out if I didn't secretly throw half of them away when he wasn't home.
Yes, definitely. It's easier for me to be with them than it is other family members. So, unfortunately, yeah, I call it tough love, I guess you'd say. Um, but I know it's easier because I've had quite a few of those comments. Oh, my girls would just tell me to throw that in the garbage. And I'm
Right.
very respectful. And no, if you're ready to let it go, there is someone else it's going to bring someone else joy. Let's put it in the donation bag. And I think
Right.
that's what helps. There may be a few things that really shouldn't go to donation, but you know what? If it makes them feel better, it goes in the donation bag. And working at a nonprofit, that's what the nonprofit does is they go through and decide
Sure.
what is kept and what's not. So I definitely, yeah, it is easier. It's easier than having a lot of family members, not all, I'm sure. But yeah, I just have that coming out and yes, things can get emotional, but I'm an emotional person, so I may get teary with someone. I honestly will, but we really make a connection. They trust me, and it just makes it so much easier to continue going through everything.
For sure. And so, okay, I just have one more question. We hit some really good topics today and some great stuff. And I'm curious if you were to give our audience one piece of advice for organizing their home to feel less cluttered in their everyday life, what would it be? What would be your biggest, your most impactful piece of advice for people organizing their home?
Whenever someone says to me, and I have people stop me on the street in my small town, they know what I do, and they don't know where to start. I said, start with clothes. And they look at
Okay,
me,
okay,
but start by a category. They just,
okay, okay.
you've got your countertops, maybe you're consistently full. They can't seem to, but just start with a category. And if that though is the area that is giving you the most grief, giving the most anxiety, then that is where you need to start.
Okay,
But just choose that miscellaneous category then. But it all needs to come out. And that is the realization, just like clothes in a closet, everything comes out. And those
right,
clothes
right.
are usually we lay them on a bed. That amount of clothes can sometimes almost hit the roof. That is their eye opener. That is a realization. And it can get, you can get a little bit high anxiety seeing all that too, but that is the whole intent. Okay,
Right,
wow,
right.
this is, this is where, okay, then you do have those closet full of jackets downstairs as well. Yeah, it needs to, you can't just flip through a rack for clothes. It all needs to
Oh,
come out. You need to literally go through piece by piece. And kitchen as well. Again, that is where it's the biggest high anxiety area. And with a family anyway, or most anyone, where we usually supposed to spend most of our times in a kitchen. But back to that though, too, our bedrooms are the first place we open our eyes in the morning. And to open your eyes and see that that dresser has a mound of stuff on it, you really just want to close your eyes and go back to sleep, I'm sure. So it really is a matter then of, I still totally support the category, but I guess pick the area then that is giving you the most stress. And we all know.
and so then you're going to go into, let's say it's your kitchen. What's your step? Have your discard bin, have your stuff ready so you can just,
Have your boxes ready, your donation boxes ready, and literally, and everything comes out like, hate to say it, but if we have to, an entire drawer can get dumped into a box to sort, and then we sort to keep, and we put it back in the drawer nice and neat, and then we put what's not kept into a donation box. And because I mean, if you're moving, of course it gets put into a moving box and labeled, but for the downsizing part, you're just, again, think about the space that you have. You probably know how many drawers you have, and when you've got 3 or 4 drawers of kitchen utensils, you need to minimize it to 2, then that's our goal.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I just have another point there to bring up as we're talking about all the things you have to do. It sounds very time consuming. And so another word of advice to people who are downsizing would be don't sell your house and then start the organization process in your home. Like this is like a very long process.
It can be. It can be. I also always give homework. So I can kind of, because I think that having me in motivates people too.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, it definitely, and then if they're planning to list to sell, then that should be a motivation as well. And they know that's coming. But unfortunately, I have been in a situation where I couldn't finish at the end, and it was literally possession day was the next, or the moving van was coming the next day, and we weren't even done packing. And
Oh my goodness.
I wasn't even available type of thing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that was very stressful. But I was very aware of what was going on. So what happened in that situation was once I got them going, I call it homework. This is
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's really to sit there and go through papers. That's really something for a client needs to do themselves a lot of times. But they didn't do that. So the homework wasn't done. The moving van was coming and they ran out of boxes. Yeah.
Oh
So
no.
I
Yeah.
have had,
Stressful.
yeah, very stressful. And I had to leave at 10 o'clock that night. And knowing that I did my best, it's just what they
Yeah.
said they were going to do didn't happen. And so super important to,
Yep.
yeah, to get motivated. And I think that's what having me in. I think, speaking of, I think the biggest reason why people don't reach out for outside help, though, is shame or embarrassment. And I tell you, no judgment whatsoever. I have seen it all. I've probably done it all. I can open a closet and something will fall out. Like, I don't think anything of it. But people think that they need to tidy before I come. Well, that's
No.
defeats. Sure, if you want to get started, yeah, that's great. I always say it's amazing what we can get done together in a day. Having me come.
Right. And yeah. And I think you're right about the shame and embarrassment. You know, you live in your home every day and then all of a sudden you look around and you think, how did I spend 30 years just collecting stuff? And they're too overwhelmed to do it on their own, but don't want someone else to see all the stuff they've collected.
I can think of so many things to touch on regarding, downsizing because photo albums are huge. There's so many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are tough. I was a big photo taker. I'm starting to go through some of my photo albums that I know my kids aren't going to want.
Okay.
I am starting to go through, or if they're blurry, or I do admit I am starting. That would be a good winter project. Maybe if people do get
Okay.
them moved and if they're looking to downsize them. But the way with taking pictures with your iPhone and do a digital, or get them into the Shutterfly into a photo book, or yeah, there
Oh
are
yeah.
options.
Yeah.
There are options for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
That's a great.
That's a great idea too.
Yeah, for sure.
And I love the idea of doing the organizing before you sell your house. Every house looks better with less stuff in it. And I always tell my clients there's nothing more stressful than having your house sold and then having to then get rid of stuff you don't use anymore and pack and move and do that stuff first. Empty out your closets and make your storage room look big and all those things.
And I would think for a selling point, I'm sure we all know, I haven't looked at I've lived in my same home for 30 years, but people are looking in your drawers. I'm sure they know that, right? They're
Yeah.
looking in the pantry, they're looking in, and I just see, yeah, just even better reason to do that before listing. I think just being able
Agreed.
that's another thing too, is it should only take realistically 10 minutes to tidy your home, your main living area. It should really only take 10 minutes to tidy.
Yeah.
If you are having someone come in to look, honestly, just because,
And so if it's taking more than that, someone probably has excess stuff.
and when I say main, I mean your living room, kitchen, that type of thing, your entryway.
Right.
But yeah, if you've got a big home and bedrooms up, bedrooms down, but yeah, it would take longer than that. But just in the initial first impression of the number one, entryways are so important. And I'm sure you tell your clients that that's your their first impression of a home is walking into an entryway, and then what comes next, usually living room and kitchen, and going from there. So yeah, very important to make it so that you can tidy. I'm going to say 20 minutes just to be on the generous side then.
Sure.
Yeah.
But you're right, you're amazed how much you can get done in 20 minutes when you have to.
Yes, and that could even include sweeping your floor if you needed to, or I'm sure people are
Yeah.
given a little bit of notice for when clients or, your clients are going to look at homes, but yeah.
Well, very.
Well, very interesting. I loved all of those tips. Just having this conversation makes me stressed out about my own house.
Oh, I hear you. I actually can come home from an organizing job and literally want to go to my closet and minimize. And I'm exhausted after coming home from an 8-hour day, but I also am like it really does it kind of motivates myself just by being there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so
And so Marie Kondo has a book.
she does. Yes.
would you
Would you
recommend someone to
recommend
read
someone to
that if
read
they're
that if they're
feeling like,
feeling like,
100%. And it may, she still may be on Netflix. So
oh,
yeah, yeah. So she may still be on Netflix. The Joy of Tidying Up. And
okay, yep.
yeah, so there is audiobook as well. So I think I've done audio. I think I've done the book, or I've given away the book as well for a giveaway. And
Yeah.
and then Netflix, I'm not sure if she's still on there, but there are real families, real situations, and yeah, it's really good. Yeah, she's
And you took,
and you took her course too, right? I saw that on Instagram.
Yeah, I did. I did it. I did a little training course. Yes, that was
okay,
right after I got going. I thought, oh, there's probably all kinds of I had to really search out what should I be, what could I be
oh,
doing or should I be doing? Now I feel it is simply experience because I'm 4 years in. It doesn't sound long, but I feel like I've seen it all. And number one is getting to know. It's really big on if people are visual or non-visual, and that's been my biggest learning curve. And that you can find on clutterbug.com. And I share that. Everyone takes a little quiz. There's two visual, two non-visual. And even going forward for people moving out of their bigger homes. And, it's important for me to know that if you're visual, you're going to be having hooks on the wall, whereas you're non-visual, you're hanging your jackets on hangers and putting them in a closet. So,
oh,
it's
That's interesting.
huge, that visual and non-visual. And some people, can be one of each in each family, like we are, and it can get a little tricky. But my husband, I have their hanging coat hook or the rack with the hooks, and my clothes go into a closet on a hanger. So
isn't that,
Isn't that funny? I think we're the same way.
bug.com it is, and I share and I tag and give her credit, and it's just a simple little quiz. And there's your butterfly or a bee, or you're a cricket or a ladybug. And just because there's two visual and two non-visual, but it's so interesting. You learn a lot about yourself. I'm a ladybug, so things they get put behind a closet door, but that closet might be pretty full until I go to tidy.
Right.
So, yeah.
oh,
Oh, that's so interesting. The emotional and brain part of the way we live in our everyday lives.
I've actually had
Yeah.
clients who were very visual, and they were embarrassed. And I said, no, you work with it, or it's your personality to have to see it or it won't get used. And I said,
Yes.
no, we're working with it. Definitely. That's
Oh,
where
that's
you
cool.
can do pegboards in your office, or vertical storage, or there's just so many options. Yeah.
See, that's interesting to me because I think I'm the visual, but I don't want to be a visual. I want everything to be away. I want it to be clean. I don't want to see it, but if I don't see it, I won't use it. Oh, okay. Yeah. And is that so the people that are
Visual.
visual don't get stressed out by all the clutter?
Yes.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
wow.
Well, it's actually No, it's actually, that doesn't bother them as much. No, it's for the non-visual to decant. So it looks nice.
Right.
Yeah. So it's actually more for, my husband doesn't care as long as his vitamins are sitting right at the sink. So,
Right.
and I do have to label sometimes if it's a electrolyte and a different flavor, then I will change out the label on it. But it's,
That is very interesting. Yeah. And so I'm assuming that would play a big part in the way you help people organize their kitchens and their bathrooms.
yes.
Yeah.
I want to just put everything behind a cupboard or a closed door, but I have learned, no, you can't do that. And so that's very where, again, knowing, when you are leaving your home, moving into something else and something smaller, it's really good to be aware of your organizing style, or just the type of, if you're a visual or non-visual person, and just makes that much easier moving into your new space as well. So that's going to be functional for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I'm curious how many of us are out there with our, that are visual or non-visual living the opposite way and are stressed out in our space every day. I bet there's a ton of them. I bet you run into a ton
I
of
had a
them.
teacher who was visual, and she would walk past another teacher's classroom, and it was so cute and neat. And well, that's because they're non-visual and they have everything put away. But most kids, and I told her, it made her feel better, most kids and younger kids are definitely, they're visual. So so I said, you being visual, you're just helping your students. Just a matter of organizing. Again, that's where your clear bins labeled. So clear bins is really important, of course, so you can see, and your pegboards and stuff like that. So there are ways to do it. Yeah. There's ways to be neat,
So interesting.
be visual. There's ways to be neat and visual.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So interesting. And I can tell you're super passionate about it.
Yes, I feel like there's just, clients teach me something though too. There's almost every time I meet with a client, they've taught me something as well. So, it's unfortunate. There's been times where people have gone out and bought all these decanting stuff and storage bins, and then I arrive and, we literally can't use one of them. They just weren't meant for their space, or they have good intent, but that is one thing I don't recommend. Yeah. Don't go out and buy a bunch of stuff. We go through, and if you're looking to decant a pantry, that's easy. I can send you a link for Amazon or IKEA, or, I do recommend recommendations, but I'd rather come in and minimize with you first, and then people can go. I always have a tickle trunk of stuff with me, but I would rather come in and do the minimizing. Once you've minimized, you may not even need to, once it's minimized, it's just so much less to organize. So.
Right.
Yeah.
It will feel less overwhelming once you get rid of a bunch of stuff.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Well,
Deneen, thanks so much for being with us today. This was fabulous information. And like always, I'll put her contact info at the bottom of the podcast page. Feel free to follow her on Instagram. She has great tips. And if you need help organizing your life, reach out to her.
Thank you very much. I want to finish with, it was one of my clients. I was hired by 4 adult kids, and they're very active parents, lovely people. And she sat down. So that was wonderful. So it was the couple, and we were going through a basement full. And the daughter and the son-in-law were on board to haul stuff out, but we sat down to have lunch together, and she said, we all got teary over it, and she said, Mom and Dad, I am just so thankful you are here to do this with me. So I guess that's maybe fits into a little bit different category, but regarding if you lose a parent or something. But in other words, do it with them as a, I do have those conversations with my parents, and I'd rather be doing it with them than having to do that, when they're gone. And this adult daughter was, um, she had some really hard decisions she would have had to have made, but because her mom and dad were doing it, it made her life that much easier. In other
Yeah.
words, they weren't leaving everything for their kids. And
I was just gonna
unfortunately,
say,
Gonna say, don't leave it for your kids. No. Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
but thank you, Roxanne. Yes, I could go on and
Oh, you're
on.
welcome. You're welcome. It was a pleasure having you on the show today. I'm glad we finally connected.
Same. I love following along with your journey as well. You are
thank you.
one
Thank you.
huge inspiration, to me and to, I'm sure, a lot of people. So, yeah, thank
I
you.
agree.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. Well, you enjoy the rest of this beautiful day, and I look forward to watching for all of your before and afters.
Yes, yes, I will continue posting for sure. So, thank you so much, Roxanne.
Thanks. You bet. Have a good
Take
day.
care. Bye bye.
So, if you're standing in the home that raised your babies and thinking, I don't know how to say goodbye, know that you don't have to rush. You just have to start. Downsizing isn't the end. It's a beautiful, brave new beginning. And with the right people to guide you and a little courage to let go, it doesn't have to be so heavy. Thanks for being here with me today. If you need support with planning your downsize or just want to chat through where to begin, you know where to find me. And I'm going to leave Deneen's info below. Take care, everyone. See you next time.